I hope to be brief in saying that the difference between freedom and independence lies within the underlying implications of the two concepts. Freedom is more nuanced and I think is more intuitive when it comes to life or to our existential human condition. Freedom, in other words, is not just choosing between gatas na choco or choco na gatas, or the ability to choose among Sir Fried or Ariel when you are doing the laundry. So freedom is ultimately to choose your fate, your destiny. You have a destiny that you can create, not just like one tamad, as if gazing at a guava in the tree for too long will make it fall. My late professor, Dr. Florentino Hornedo, wrote that freedom is the power to be. It is an energy, an autonomous energy that propels a person to achieve development. It is therefore freedom for something. Independence, on the contrary, is freedom from something. And there's a big difference between freedom for, freedom from. When somebody says, I am a strong and independent woman or person, to be politically correct, the underlying implication is that one is claiming that one is strong and independent from something. We celebrate independence with the thought in mind that we have become liberated from something, from slavery, oppression, or colonial rule. So one can therefore easily claim that one is independent after achieving liberation, not ultimately free. There are more intricacies tied to freedom than to independence. One of my favorite authors, Michael Ondiache, writes in the English page, betrayals in war are childish compared with our betrayals during peace. So that the question here would be, after you have claimed your independence, what will you do to become free?
Independence Day is the greatest thing or event our country had achieved. Without this independence, we could have been until now under the Americans, and so it is but right to celebrate it, to respect the greatest Filipinos who are our heroes, who have given their lives in acquiring this independence. Independence means you are not under another country's rule. Freedom is you are given a choice. You are free to do what you want, provided you're not violating any law. As a free citizen, of course, I do what I want, but responsible enough to follow the rules and join the activities for the good of the community where I live.
Why is Independence Day celebrated? Independence Day celebrated in order for Filipinos to remember the sacrifices our ancestors made in order to achieve freedom and equality in our country. No, but I do think that independence is needed in order to achieve freedom. Knowing what you stand for, especially during times of injustice, can help you and your fellow men be free from the shackles of prejudice and discrimination. Therefore, one's independence from societal standards can free you from the unjust treatment of people. Well, in my opinion, being a law-abiding citizen of my country is an obligation each person must exercise. As for my responsibility, it is to make sure that the government treats the people equally no matter their upbringing and status. Keeping the government grounded can make sure that no bias exists when tackling social issues.
Nagkakuan kit Independence Day kay para mag-celebrate sa ato kalayaan, kay nakakuan nakit nakalaya nakit sa pagsakop sa ato sa Espanyol tapos sa Amerika. Mao nag-celebrate kasi ito niya Independence Day para sa ato kalayaan. Oo, kay and freedom kalayaan. Ato kalayaan nga pwede kit makahimo san ko ang pares man sang quarantine, tapos kumamanangan ng quarantine, malaya nakit pwede nakit makagawas. Ang independence man kalayaan ta sa ato kay kuan nakagawas nakit sa pagsakop sa ato sa Espanyol, mo pwede nakit gat makagawas mo parehas itong sira nga ito nga independence tapos freedom. Ang aking obligasyon ay mag-aral ng mabuti para paglaki ko makatrabaho ako ng first ng doktor, o para pag hindi pa mawala yung virus na to, pwede rin ako makatulong sa mga tao na ng mga ng virus na ito para maliitan ang may mga cases nito ng mga virus, tapos para makatulong sa mga taong.
Why is Independence Day celebrated? Independence Independence Day is a celebration of our country's independence from political control. It is one of the greatest milestones of the Philippines in the quest of becoming a nation. It is not merely a reminder of the struggles of our heroes, but more so of our individual freedom, our personal happiness, and our quest in order to have a better society. In your opinion, is freedom the same with independence? If you learn how to make money, you are independent. Choosing what you buy is freedom. Freedom is the ability to act and to express yourself in whatever you choose, while independence means something that you can do with yourself and not depending on others. As a free citizen in an independent democratic nation, what is your obligation and responsibility? It is our duty to hurdle the usual political exploitation that we experience. It is our duty to be empowered, especially with our rights. It is our duty to stand for the rights of others. It is our duty to respect the rights of our fellow men. And it is our duty to change and reform our government for the better.
Independence Day is celebrated to commemorate the sacrifices of our Filipino heroes who fought for our freedom from the foreign invaders, either by pen or by sword. It is to remind us that we had a long bloody history before, and it is something that we can be proud of. The concept of independence is different from the concept of freedom. Independence refers to the idea that a country has an autonomy, meaning the power to govern itself. However, freedom is the idea to do something out of will but with accordance to the laws and norms of the state and society. As a free citizen of an independent democratic country, my responsibilities and obligations are: first, to abide with the laws mandated by the state; second, to criticize the state if I believe that something is wrong; third, is not to be ignorant of the socio-political issues that concern the welfare of the Filipino people. I believe that a true Filipino knows his or her civic duty.
It is celebrated because it is meant to be celebrated. It's just like how you celebrate your birthdays, right? Our Independence Day is the birth of our republic, the birth of the Philippines. So it is to be celebrated if that's the case. Now, aside from that, the Filipinos in the past, our dear heroes, they had sacrificed so much. They have sacrificed their lives just for us to have this independence and to enjoy liberties that we're enjoying right now. So I think it's just worthy, or it deserves to be celebrated. Well, my answer is that there's only a very fine line between freedom and independence, but I could not exactly say that they are the same. Because when we say independence, it's just like walking to a place where you intend to protest to the government or to join a rally or some sort of. You're independent because you can walk without the aid of anyone, without the aid of something. You're not dependent on someone or something. You have the willpower to do it so, and you're not dictated or controlled by certain authority or certain force, external force, let's just say. Freedom is guaranteeing you a safe environment where you are free to act, to live, to say whatever you wanted to say, whatever you wanted to do. Our obligation is to abide with the existing laws of the state and to always uphold the fundamental law, which is our Constitution. It is our responsibility that we exercise our rights within its limits or within its bounds, because it's not just only us that are guaranteed with these rights, but also others. And it is also our responsibility to take part in the decision making of our government, and how we can do it is through several ways. We could use acceptable platforms like social media to express our views, our expressions, or our thoughts. That influences actually the decision making of the government, and in that way we're in political affairs. We have to see to it that we exercise our right to vote wisely. That's our responsibility as a citizen in a democratic society. to see to it that there is balance between authority and liberty, and so it won't result to anarchy. Thank you.
Irrevocably, we choose to celebrate June 12, not necessarily for the independence we proclaimed, but for the nation we claimed. And as for me, there are two reasons why Independence Day is celebrated. First, to remember the sacrifices of our heroes and appreciate their sovereignty. Second, it is celebrated to show love for our country. It is this day that Filipinos remember the courage and sacrifices by heroes who fought for our motherland. Their strength to fight and dedication to free the country against colonizers should be remembered by the generations of today and the generations yet unborn. People can confuse freedom with independence or independence with freedom. Freedom means we rule ourselves instead of submitting to a foreign rule, while independence is a collective standing on our own 2 feet, which sadly we do not. As a free citizen in an independent democratic nation, my sole responsibility and obligation is to be an active citizen by way of choosing the right leaders during elections, expressing opinion, and allowing others the right to express their own, regardless of whether they are right or wrong. And as simple as keeping my surroundings clean and organized, and by being a law-abiding citizen.
Independence Day is celebrated to commemorate the freedom and independence of a specific country. We celebrate independence as a remembrance of our freedom. Freedom and independence, if we'll notice and understand it in its root word itself. In times of freedom, we became free to move and do what we want, and independence as being independent, which we able to stand alone. It is being said so because during the times that we're not free, we seem to be dependent because we are being imprisoned and prohibited. However, as the freedom arrives, we learn to stand on our own feet and become independent. Freedom and independence differs from each other because it doesn't mean that an independent country has freedom. Just like, for example, during Marcos regime, Philippines is already independent at the time, but the people in the country doesn't have a chance to fight for their rights in martial law. That is the time when the Filipino citizens are being overpowered by the military forces. So those examples are just some reasons why independence and freedom are different. When it comes to obligation and responsibility as a citizen, an obligation is much heavier than responsibility, right? It's because obligation can be something that forces you to do a thing, while responsibility is something you have a choice to do or not to a thing. Maybe in an obligation, as a citizen, it's our obligation to follow the laws we have in our country, while it is our responsibility to be a good citizen and share critics if we ever knew something is wrong.
Ayan! So, mga kapatid, tapos na po yung second series ng Independence Day natin. So, I hope you learned something. I hope you learned from the answers ng mga kaibigan ko. Pwede rin naman po kayo mag-answer sa questions kong tatlo. Tapos, you try to reflect kung gaano ba ka-importante ang Independence Day at ano ba talaga yung mga obligasyon natin bilang isang mamamayang Pilipino. So, today is June 30 and I want to end the month with a very meaningful and fruitful vlog about independence. So, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.